Hello and welcome back to Focus Atlanta. Thanks so much for continuing to watch. In this segment, we're going to talk a little bit to our ladies. It is, in fact, Women's History Month, and sometimes we need a little help trying to reset. I'm here with Pamela Williams. Thanks so much for making time for us. It was good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Now, give me a couple of hints. Are there things that women can do to kind of get started again, reset? Sometimes there's so much going on, we just need to slow down and kind of start again.
No kidding, of course. Well, as women, we tend to wear many hats, right? But what we forget to do oftentimes when we're caring for other people is actually take the time for ourselves. So baked in, what's really important that I've discovered and learned on my journey is that you have to make time for you, to take care to fill your emotional cup and your whatever that may be for you. So when you take time, for me, I meditate, I work out, I eat healthy foods that help my body to heal naturally by itself. But then I add a balance to that. And if that means I want to go eat a cake, I go eat a cake too, right? Another thing that's important is to be aware of your thoughts. Thoughts are creative, and what you think, you end up becoming. So taking time for you, doing the work that you need to do to just think about what you're thinking that may cause an emotion, right? That you don't want to react. Those are the things that you need to do that will really help to center yourself and fill your cup so that you can be productive, right? So that you can help.
Absolutely. Now, I got to say, Pamela, you started us off with the hardest one because so often the women are doing things for everybody else. They're doing things for the kids. They're doing things for the spouse. They're doing things for the job. And you're saying we need to jump right in there and take some time for us.
Absolutely. Because think of it this way. If you were a battery, how can a battery run if it's constantly drained, right? How can a battery run if it's constantly drained? So you need to take time to recharge so that you won't just be good for yourself, but you'll be good for other people that are in your life. As a mother and a wife myself, it's something that I've learned on my journey. Like, I'm no good to anybody else if I don't take that time for me. And that's not being selfish. If you're not thinking of other people, then yes, it may be deemed as selfish, but you have to look at it from a standpoint of and a perspective of, hey, I'm charging my battery so that I'm not just beneficial for myself, but I'm helping other people too along the way and on the journey.
Oh, now that you're right. That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it into perspective. Because again, we never want to be quote unquote selfish, right? But sometimes we need to look inward before we can help anybody else. That whole adage, put on your mask before you put on your, the passenger next to you. That kind of thing we need to get used to doing in regular life.
Exactly. And what helps us move through life too is resilience, right? Being able to manage adversity and overcome adversity is what helps us in life. And on my journey, what I've discovered is partly why I became an emotional intelligence coach, was to help other people to navigate pain. Because for me, I've figured out that I'm actually pretty good at that, right? And that's part of my purpose, is to help other women overcome not just the adversities and the challenges that you're bound to face. Because if you're living life, unless you're in a bubble, you're going to face some type of struggle. And it's how you navigate that helps. And just to remember that resilience is actually a muscle. You can build it. And as you move through and walk through, you end up building that resilience each time, so that when you face another challenge, you are able then to move through the challenge by just simply understanding that you trust the process. Fears and doubts are normal, but you move through. You want to quit, but you don't. You keep moving. You be committed, and that commitment will be tested. But as you go through and you go through the transformation phase, you will find then that you will achieve. And the transformation phase is hard because that's like a breakdown, right? It's a breakdown that needs to occur. But think of it like in nature. What I would say is, just like I call it the chrysalis, there's a breakdown that needs to occur, and then you emerge like a butterfly to achievement. And once you've achieved whatever that is, you're able to move through the cycle. You've got a new beginning, which is brilliant. And then whenever you face adversity again, guess what? I've already accomplished.
Yeah.
I've moved through something, so I can move through it again.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for making time for us, for sharing this. We've had the website up there for our guests so that, everyone can learn a little bit more about building that resiliency. It was a pleasure to meet you.
It was lovely to meet you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, ladies, we can do this. And not just during Women's History Month. That might just be the jump off point for you, right? But you need to consistently think about your own self-care so that you can continue to build those muscles that help you help everyone else. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to this segment of Focus Atlanta. We'll be right back with more.